Book 150, The Magic Key, The Melted Chocolate Mystery. Biff and Chip were sitting at the kitchen table. Gran was unpacking a shopping bag and pulled out a large wrapped chocolate bar. Floppy, the dog, wagged his tail eagerly. Biff and Chip were looking at a book about famous inventions. Suddenly, the magic key in Chip's pocket began to glow with a bright, warm light. An adventure, whispered Biff. The magic took them back in time to a busy industrial laboratory in 1945. The room was filled with heavy metal machines, winding wires, and glowing dials. Where are we? Asked Chip. They walked quietly past shelves of scientific equipment. Near a large buzzing metal console stood a friendly scientist wearing a white lab coat and round glasses. He was working on a radar tube. The scientist named Percy was adjusting the dials on the front of the machine. The machine was humming loudly. He looked closely at the meters, trying to understand what it did. Chip reached into his pocket and pulled out the chocolate bar Gran had bought. Set it down on a wooden workbench right next to the buzzing radar tube to keep it safe. Biff and Chip watched the scientist write notes in a small leather book. Floppy sniffed at the base of the machine, ears perked up at the strange humming sound. A few minutes later, Chip went to pick up the chocolate bar. He gasped in surprise. The bar had completely melted into a messy, gooey brown puddle on the workbench. Look at my hands, cried Chip, holding up his chocolate-covered fingers. Biff laughed, but then she pointed at the scientist. A dark brown stain was spreading on his lab coat pocket. Just looked down at his pocket and reached inside. He pulled out his own candy bar, which was completely melted too. How very strange, muttered the scientist. The room is not warm. The scientist looked at the buzzing machine, then at the melted chocolate. He ran to a cupboard and brought back a handful of dry corn kernels, placing them right in front of the tube.
Suddenly, pop, pop, pop. The corn began to pop into fluffy white popcorn. Popcorn flew everywhere, bouncing off the bench and landing on the floor. Floppy caught one in his mouth. "It's the invisible waves from the tube," cried the scientist with a big smile. He began writing excited notes about a new machine that could cook food using radar waves. Just as the scientist turned around to thank the children for their chocolate bar, Chip felt a warm glow. The magic key in his pocket was shining bright yellow. "It is time to go," said Gran. In a flash, they were back in their own kitchen and smiled and handed Chip a fresh chocolate bar. "Let's keep this one away from the machines," laughed Biff.